To most folks, the 4th of July is all about backyard barbecues, cold beers, and family. But for Sergeant Elena Vance, United States Marine Corps, the sudden crack of fireworks in the night sky sounds a little too much like a firefight in Kandahar. Elena sits on her front porch in Texas, staring at a half-empty cup of coffee. She's home. She has all her fingers, all her toes. People look at her in her uniform and call her a badass. They call her a hero. But as she sits there in the quiet of the night, twisting a pair of silver dog tags around her fingers, she doesn't feel like a hero. She feels like someone who left a piece of her soul buried in the Middle Eastern sand. Let's take it back 2 years, downrange, the sandbox. Elena was a squad leader, responsible for 6 Marines operating in an environment where the heat alone could break a person. Among her squad was Private First Class Miller. They just called him Kid. He was 19 years old, a farm boy from a tiny town in Iowa. He had this goofy, gap-toothed smile and talked endlessly about his mom's cherry pie and the beat-up Chevy truck waiting for him back home. Elena was tough as nails on him. She rode him hard during drills, corrected his posture, and yelled when his gear wasn't squared away, not because she was mean, but because, in the Marines, discipline keeps you breathing. Before they deployed, Elena had looked Kid's mother in the eye and made a promise. "I've got his 6, ma'am. I'm bringing him home." Then came a Tuesday in October. It was supposed to be a routine patrol outside the wire. But ask any combat veteran, and they'll tell you, routine is the deadliest word in the dictionary. The convoy was moving through a narrow dirt pass when the ground violently erupted. An IED, the shock wave, flipped their Humvee like it was a plastic toy. Dust choked the air. Ears were ringing. Amidst the chaos, the screaming, and the smell of burning diesel, Elena crawled through the wreckage. She found Kid. He took the brunt of the blast. She pressed her hands against his chest, screaming for the corpsman, her voice cracking as she kept repeating, "Stay with me, Kid. You're going back to that Chevy. Stay with me." But as the medevac bird finally chopped through the sky, Kid looked up at her, gave a faint, tired smile, and closed his eyes. He didn't make the flight. People think the hardest part of war is the combat. It isn't. The absolute toughest mission Sergeant Elena Vance ever faced wasn't kicking in doors under enemy fire. It was 6 months later, back on American soil. She put on her dress blues, making sure every metal was perfectly aligned, every piece of brass shining. She drove to a quiet neighborhood in Iowa. She got out of the car feeling heavier than she ever did in full combat gear. Walking up that paved driveway to Kid's parents' house was the longest walk of her life. Video created by Sub-81M Rock. When his mother opened the door and saw the uniform, she collapsed. Elena held her, dropping her tough Marine exterior, and just wept with her. She handed over his dog tags, the ones she had pulled from the dust. Today, Sergeant Vance is out of the Corps. She goes to work. She smiles at the grocery store, and she lives a quiet life. But every single day, she carries the weight of the ones who didn't make it back. Survivor's guilt is a silent battlefield. They train Marines to fight, to endure, to survive. But no one, no manual, no drill instructor ever teaches you how heavy a half-ounce piece of metal can feel around your neck. To everyone watching this, next time you see a veteran looking off into the distance, remember that they might be reliving a moment they can never change. Be kind to them and to all the Gold Star families and the troops who made the ultimate sacrifice. We haven't forgotten. Semper Fi.